The Witcher 3 Next Gen update is finally here. After a long freaking wait, you can finally pile on another 100 hours of this game into your life, and for good reason. Today I'm going to go over a lot of the things that CD Projekt Red added to The Witcher 3, as well as if it's really worth your time, because honestly, it's pretty nice for what's essentially a free remaster plus some new content. So without further ado, remember, if you do enjoy today's video, don't forget to leave it a nice, thick and juicy like. Of course, if you enjoy this kind of content, you want more like it, be sure to hit that big red 60 subscribe button right underneath the video. Also got to thank my channel members. You guys help make these videos possible. If you want to join, get access to the exclusive perks that they get, then be sure to check out that blue join button. Anyway, let's begin. First things first that you're going to notice, this game looks even more beautiful than it already did. Now you might be thinking, Jaws, that looks exactly like it used to, and that's because this is exactly how it used to look. This is what it actually looks like now. Pretty impressive what CD Projekt Red pulled off. Part of the reason that they've been able to do such a good job with this is they took some of the third-party mods that PC players have been using for a long time to enhance things like textures, and they were able to basically give those first-party support, which I think is pretty awesome and shows what a great job the community has been able to do with dedicated fans. And it's great to see a studio recognize that kind of a thing. The next thing you'll probably notice as I'm walking around is the closer camera view. Now, why is this important? Why is it such a big deal? Well, number one, it makes the game have a little bit more of a modern feel, which personally I do enjoy. Now, I do enjoy it mostly on foot because in places such as Novigrad, you will find that it adds a little bit more of a personal point of view. It feels like you're a little bit closer to Geralt as you're walking through the tighter streets of a place such as a Novigrad or an Oxenfurt or maybe even in Toussaint. But when I am out and about out in the open world, usually I am on horse, and when I'm on horse I like to have the more traditional further point of view. I feel like you still get that advantage and you still get to take in that breathtaking open world. It just gives you that higher field of view that you want when you are elevated on a horse. That doesn't mean you have to do that. I do still think it's nice from time to time to slow down and use the closer point of view. I don't know, it's personal preference. You can turn these all on or off. The closer point of view is on by default, even though the original point of view that's further away is technically listed as default. I don't get it either, but that's how it's listed. It will be very easy to tell which one is which. There are also alternative looks for characters that are new in this update, such as Dandelion. He has an alternative look from the show. There's also the alternative look for the Nilfgaardian soldiers, so if you want a bunch ball sacks running around, you can do that too. There is a nice new armor set that you'll notice that I'm wearing in this update. It's called the Armor of 1,000 Flowers. There's also the Swords of 1,000 Flowers. Personally, they're pretty good. I think they look really, really nice. They're not as powerful as a lot of the maxed out Witcher gear that I have, but it still looks nice. They're not that far off. I'd say they're still pretty usable in a lot of areas around the game, and I'm sure you can probably beat the game wearing it, but I don't think it's as good as a lot of the Witcher gear. Granted, the stats I'm looking at are on a New Game Plus save, where I'm past the main story, but I am doing some of the DLC quests, so take that into consideration. I don't know what it would be like in the base game, but at least where I'm at, if it is similar to that, probably going to be one of the better suits of armor and weapons that you're going to have in the game. The next thing I want to talk about has to do with the new graphics modes. So there's actually two graphics modes available in the game. Now, if you're playing on the PS5, the Series X, you will have the ability to switch between performance and ray tracing. Personally, I know ray tracing is all beautiful and everything, but you do sacrifice the 60 frames per second to go down to 30 frames per second and get that beautiful ray tracing. I don't think it's a worthwhile sacrifice. Yes, it looks beautiful. Some of the reflections are nice. Some of the rays coming through trees and clouds and whatnot look amazing. Don't get me wrong. But it's really only something you'll seriously notice in certain spots. And even then, it's just not worth losing the 30 frames. The 60 FPS is so darn smooth, especially when you're out exploring and whatnot. It looks incredible. The game looks amazing already. I don't think the little bit of a boost that you get in image quality from the ray tracing is really worth the sacrifice to the frames, because again, it already looks fantastic. Now, speaking of frames and performance mode, I do want to talk a little bit about something, and that's really how it feels when you are in the more crowded areas. So when you are in cities such as Novigrad or Oxenfurt, you will notice that it's a little bit more lively. There's definitely more NPCs around. There's things going on that I didn't notice when I went back and played the original version, such as Street Performers and Hierarch Square and whatnot. But due to that, I do think you lose a little bit of frames in performance mode because it did not feel quite like 60 FPS, maybe something like 40, 45 FPS. It just wasn't quite 60. It's not a major issue. It's not an FPS game. It's not something like that, but it does feel a little bit sluggish when you get into those areas, which I'm sure a lot of people really won't notice. But if you are going to notice something like that, do beware that when you go into more populated areas, yes, it will be more alive, but it feels like you are going to lose a little bit of those frame rates. So again, be cautious of that. But other than that, the game ran smoothly so far. I haven't had any issues with weird bugs and whatnot. They've cleaned up a ton of the issues that were wrong with the game originally, and now it seems like it's about as polished as you can really get this game to be, which was already pretty darn polished. I also want to talk about some minor features that have been added to the game. Well, maybe they're not as minor as I'm making them out to be, but in terms of gameplay, you may not notice them quite as much. There is a new quest line. I haven't played through it yet, but there is a new quest. There is also a photo mode, so if you are someone like me who enjoys taking photos in games, doing a lot of virtual photography, posting it to Twitter, Instagram, follow me there, you can do that now in a much better way instead of having a photo mode basically modded into the game on PC that is now available to everyone. There's also cross progression, so if you play on multiple consoles or multiple platforms, so say you start a game on Xbox Series X and you want to pick it up on your PC or vice versa, you can do that, pick up right where you left off and not miss a beat. Now, I don't know how good the cross progression is because I haven't tried it yet, but cross progression in general is never really as smooth as it sounds like. Then again, it's something that is very good, and I am glad that it has come to this game because a lot of people are going to be going between different platforms, between different consoles, whether you're, you play in your office like me and you have your creator studio and you want to go in the living room, play in there, pick up where you left off, you now have that option. It's just something that's really cool, really easy, and lets you move around without being stuck in a single place and feeling like you have to be, sitting here fighting through the entire insanely long story and doing all of the open world content without having to feel stuck. So it was a little bit longer than I meant to go with that one minor feature. But regardless, there are a lot of great new additions in this update, and I highly recommend it. Anyway, let me know down below what you guys think of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt's final, well, maybe it's its final update. With its most recent update, with new content and everything, I think it's personally pretty darn awesome. Well worth at least checking out, if not in another entire playthrough through this fantastic freaking game. Anyway, let me know down below what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.